Okay, we continue our next session in this class related with the church administration on the church manual. And I'd like to invite you to open the scripture that we may read another text for the beginning of this class. And it's in 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse number 11 and 12. First Timothy chapter 4, verse number 11 and 12.
These things command and teach. Let no man despise thy youth, but be thou an example of the believers in word, in conversation, in charity, in spirit, in faith, in purity.
Here Paul is talking to Timothy when he's telling them, this I command you, and that you also may teach. What is the teaching that he should give? He's talking before, but also after. Here we can see the text after. Nobody should have in how do you say the text there? Number 12. Nobody. Yes, how did it say there in English?
Let no man despise.
No man despise thy youth. We are talking now about the youth development. When here Paul is talking to Timothy, that he should also in his youth age had especially ministry. When it's important that here is pointing to different areas. In be an example to the believer in word, in conduct, in love, in spirit, in faith, and in purity. These are different areas that I like to motivate you to analyze why a young person, why and how can a young person be an example to the believers, to the church in those areas. God has set up in the young people some characteristic that with the years they pass. They don't have any more the strength. They don't have any more sincerity. They don't have any more approach without much prejudice as we will have later on, because the hardest of life start making us harder in our experience. We are more courageous in challenges for different activities. With all those characteristics of the young people should set also in the service for the Lord. With the youth department, why does the youth department exist on the church? If you will define the youth department, why does the youth department exist on the church?
To establish upcoming leaders.
The final purpose is the salvation of the souls. But there are other purposes on the way. What are those other objectives that you know that should be accomplished in the youth department? Create leaders is fine. What else? Testimony says that should create an environment. Attention how that I will define now. Create an environment that the church may identify themselves, feel happy, and develop themselves for the service of God. If you see young people, they look for friends. When they try to be together in group. When it's very strong, the influence of those friends in the decision of this young person. That's why it's very common to see if the young brother or young children of a family of the church, most of his friends are outside of the world, it's good probably that he will lose his faith and go to the world too. Because when he will tell, if there is a right church, it's the church of my parents. But it was, why you did the wrong decision? Because my friends. That's why the youth department should create this environment where the young people can develop themselves with different activities and be a blessing for each other and for the church. Let's read this testimony. Brother Adrian, please.
When the youth give their hearts to God, our responsibility for them does not cease. They must be interested in the Lord's work and led to see that He expects them to do something to advance His cause. It is not enough to show how much needs to be done and to urge the youth to act a part. They must be taught how to labor for the Master. They must be trained, disciplined, drilled in the best methods of winning souls to Christ. Teach them to try in a quiet, unpretending way to help their young companions. Let different branches of missionary effort be systematically laid out, in which they may take part, and let them be given instruction and help, thus they will learn to work for God.
If you see all these statements, what are the responsibilities based on this statement of the youth department?
To train the young people how to labor for the master.
Yeah, not only to convert them, as here says, but it's a word that needs to be keep going, keep developing. Train them for the master. What else?
To let them know that they have work to do.
Train, discipline, they should be working their character.
Also teach them to have an influence on their young friends.
In this environment, as I was speaking to you before, that's why where can we accomplish those objectives? What activities will we do to accomplish this objective? Do you believe that with a meeting every maybe 2 Sabbath in the afternoon in the church, as we used to call the youth meeting in Sabbath afternoon, do you believe this will accomplish the youth department responsibility? Never. That's why we need to understand that the work of the church department is much bigger than the one that we are really accomplishing in the church. And if we want to see young people deciding for the Lord, there need to be done different activities too. A different environment should be created. Let's see a little bit more. Brother Danny, please.
Youth Department, including the objectives for the youth work are the following: to evangelize the youth and help them find Jesus as their personal Savior, a full conversion beginning at the house of God; to involve the youth in activities which employ and develop their talents to benefit others and honor God; to educate the youth regarding the special dangers and problems of this time; and to find ways to engage the youth in active missionary work and train them to act their part in laboring for the Master.
Here we see missionary work. Here we see training, education in general. Here we see also talents. What talent is? Music, a poet, a health area, or different talents that they may develop. And here is spiritual area that you work personally with them. At the same time, we can here identify several areas. Spiritual area. We can also say here educational area, the mind. Yeah. Here we can see social, working with others, reaching other missionary work. On here, their own development, the personal development, the character. Jesus in Luke 2:52, what does the Bible text say? Damaris, please.
And Jesus increased in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and men.
Here we see 4 areas important for the development. Jesus increased in wisdom, the intellectual, in stature, the physically, favor with man, the social, and favor with God, with spiritual. Those 4 areas should be developed normally in the youth department work. Brother Richard.
Yes. In larger churches where there are relatively many youth, the following officers should be elected: the youth leader, the youth secretary, the youth treasurer, and the youth committee.
Here we see that it's a team that should work in the young people. Why? Because it's potential there. We need to try to develop properly this youth department. Let's see the next.
The youth committee should be composed of the youth leader, youth secretary, youth treasurer, and a church leader.
Let's see some activities of the youth department. Brother Danny, please.
Youth Department plan activities. 1. Sabbath afternoon activities of the Young People's Group, which include both open meetings for people of all ages and closed meetings for youth and youth leaders only. 2. Closed meetings for the purposes of preparing activities for open meetings, coming close to the youth, helping them with their special problems, encouraging the timid youth to express themselves, and developing young talent for use in the social meetings. 3. Orientation meetings, which include Bible studies, testimony studies on topics of special interest to the youth, music meetings, Bible games, studies of nature, etc. 4. Preparation of the youth to present youth programs in the church. This is of special blessing to them and others as they glorify God in the congregation by preaching and singing. 5. Sabbath school studies, especially for youth. 6. Special Sabbaths and weekend activities in which the youth share their abilities and enjoy nature and Christian recreation. And 7. Evangelistic programs in coordination with the missionary leader.
If we analyze those activities, they are rich in different areas. Training, education of the mind. They are, for example, here, trying to be a blessing for one to another. These activities where they try to analyze some special topic, but at the same try to have some relation among them. Special Sabbaths or weekend activities is very important because they identify more with themselves. They like to be in movement. They can do some activities in the nature. These activities should be organized in every church. Sometimes we think that the field level is the one that coordinates only a camp meeting or big activities for the young people. But how much do we enjoy when we go in the nature and we do some activities, physical activities? This needs to be done. How often the young person go outside with his friend? Almost every weekend he needs to do something. And what is they doing in the church? Nothing. Then where is the heart of the young person? In the church or with his friend outside? With his friend outside. Then let's think that we need to be, when testimony speak, that we need to be, Satan is doing the competition to us. We need to fulfill our responsibility. Or if we don't fulfill, Satan will do it. And this is what happened in most of the cases. That's why the youth department needs to be dynamic, developing a lot of different activities internal for the young people as well as for the whole church. Just sharing them a blessing for what they have learned and for what they have prepared. Youth Fund. The youth department of the local church is supported by a portion of the offering gathered in the youth meeting, donation from interested person, a portion of the proceeds from the sale of literature when the young cooperate with canvassing work, any other approved activities that produce funds, special project support for the field. There are different activities. It's important that you may develop the youth fund because activity for the young people require more finances than activity for children. It already requires some the children, but more the young people if we want to make a visit to a historical place or to the nature or buy books for studies or you need funds, so music instruments to motivate the young people. Let's go to the next area, music department in the church. Damaris, please.
As part of a religious service, singing is as much an act of worship as is prayer. Indeed, many a song is prayer. It is not loud singing that is needed, but clear intonation, correct pronunciation, and distinct utterance. The ability to sing is a gift of God. Let it be used to His glory.
We see here how important is also the music department in the church, that we may learn to sing. If we can encourage the church to have a choir, this is a beautiful blessing. How many people were reached by the influence of a song? And let's try to motivate the church also to have a good person playing instruments. When we don't have to motivate the young people to prepare themselves to study instruments. It's very important, the music in the life of the church. Church committee. We go to another area. Brother Richard, please.
The church committee should be composed of the church officers who carry the burdens and concerns of the church. The committee is composed of an odd number of members, usually 5 or 7.
This is for the normal size of the church, as I mentioned you before. When if the church is just starting, it can be based on just 3 members. The director of the church, the secretary, and the treasurer, but usually 5 or 7. Let's continue.
I was going to say, I'm guessing the reason why it's supposed to be an odd number is so when you have a vote,
Yes.
it's not a tie.
For decisions that will be better, it's true. It is true. Thank you, brother.
So point 2, the church elder calls the committee into session according to need to counsel over the well-being of the church.
Yeah? And the one that called the church meeting, who is responsible to call the church meeting?
Church elder.
Or the church leader. It's not everyone say, please, let's come together for a meeting. No, if somebody they need to go to the church elder, and he is the one that called to the meeting. Next one.
All the decisions made by the committee in session should be entered in the minutes, and the chairman is to see that each decision is implemented.
Yeah? It is important to make a follow-up of the decisions, that we may not just remain the decision, we don't implement them in our church activities. Yes? Next one.
The church committee should come together at least quarterly to receive reports, make plans, set goals, and organize the quarterly church business meeting.
Yes. We are not practicing this most in the churches. That's why the churches also are not doing the best. The recommendation is to do quarterly. Why? Because also you do the program of the church quarterly basis. If you meet quarterly, then you can plan for the next quarter. When you keep planning for the next quarter. If you don't have meetings, then the program just finishes. When if you realize, if you don't have program, it will come the weeks, will go months, and then you realize, whoop, we have done just very little, we have not done. That's why, be careful. You need to take the things fast and act fast in the life of the church if you want also to have results and have a dynamism in life in the church. That's why meetings are necessary. For what? Here it's mentioned, to receive reports, make plans, set goals, organize the quarterly church business meeting, to analyze all the life of the last 4 months. For analysis, you can check the books, how the finances of the church is, the missionary life of the church, and you set the new goals for the next quarter. Next.
Want me to keep reading?
Yes, please.
All right. The church elder bears responsibility to convene both the committee meetings and the church business meetings.
Okay, here we are not just a church committee, but also is the one that called to the church business meeting. Okay, next.
The church elder is responsible to set the date for the committee meetings. The secretary notifies the committee members in adequate time so they can submit in writing with the supporting documentation items to be included in the agenda.
Yes, if we are notified with time, that the presidents can also mention what subject they would like to discuss on that business meeting. Here is mentioned church elder, but in reality it should be the church leader, because not every church is having a church elder. The church leader is the one that called to, but in the English church manual used to refer mostly to church elder. Church elections. Let's do a little review about the church elections. Some points related with the church election. Let's go with Brother Eric, please.
Elections are held in all churches at the end of the calendar year or beginning of a new year.
Okay, we already mentioned that. Should be in December or January, mostly. We should not let more, because then we start the new year with new plans or new motivation for the church. Let's go to the next.
The field president should propose to the church in his territory the time when he would like to conduct the church elections. After receiving the date from the field secretary or president, the church leader will inform the entire church.
We need to understand that an officers of the field need to be present there in order to be done the election of the church. Normally should be also a minister there present. One is the president, who was used to be there in the reorganization of the church. That's why the coordination of the day needs to be done with the officers. We need to be considering that there are many churches, and then the one that set out the dates is the president of the field or the officers of the field. Next one.
All officers are required to write their reports and, if desired, send them to the church leader beforehand for review.
Yes, this is important. It is sad that most are not doing this, but it's important for the records of the church that we may have a written report for all the departments, the Sabbath school department, the missionary department, the youth department, the education department, the deacon department, all the departments, that they may present a written report of the accomplishment. This is good to keep this on the record of the church. Let's continue with the church election. Eric, please.
The church leader opens the church business meeting with a song, prayer, and a short address.
Okay, the meeting that will be opened by the church leader, now the local church leader, with the song, prayer, what else?
The secretary is requested to read the minutes of the last annual business meeting.
Okay, which meeting will be read in that meeting? Not the quarterly church meeting, if they have the church meeting, or the biannual church meeting, but the last organization meeting is right there. Continue.
The church leader then presents the report of his activities in the previous year, followed by the reading of the other officers' reports.
Okay, every one of the officers now, the local church, present the report starting from the church leader. Next one.
Once the reports are given and any questions clarified, the church leader lays down his and his co-workers' offices. He then politely requests the field president or his authorized representatives to assume the leadership and conduct the new elections.
Then what's happened then? When they have done all the reports, they lay down the responsibility when they give over the meeting to the president of the field, or another minister had been authorized to do the reorganization.
After giving a short introduction, the fifth president or his representative proceeds to lead the election of the nominating committee.
Okay, then after he make some word of thanks for the officers, maybe read some Bible texts, maybe do some prayers, then he proceed to the election of the nominating committee. We recommend, in the church manual is based on all levels with the procedure of the nominating committee. Why is important a nominating committee, brothers?
Well, you need certain people with a fair amount of knowledge to make certain decisions because they have certain experience.
Okay, what else? The nominating committee, the main reason is to have open discussion in the small circle of brethren. The one that is supervising the work is still the president of the field, but he don't know the people. The church will elect, but we need to see that if the person was really efficient in the past year, if there were some problems that maybe the minister that come from outside do not know. That's why in this nomination committee they can openly discuss. If we will do this discussion in the open church with all the members, there will be big explosions. Because maybe we need to open some issues there that that are not so easy to speak when all the members are there. Because we need to talk about the character of the people, we need to talk about the efficiency of the people. It's making an analysis that some maybe will not like to hear these comments, but it's necessary. That's why it's also mentioned in the church manual that the deliberation of the nominating committee, they are strictly limited to that meeting. That means if we go out of that meeting, Brother Richard and myself was there in the meeting. When I lose the confidentiality, what Richard had mentioned, when I start mentioning to the other people what we discussed in the nomination committee, the church manual say, I lose the opportunity to be next time also in the nomination committee because I lose the ethic of the meeting. You understood? This is written in the church manual. Because that is one of the purposes that we may discuss in the small group to have a better selection of officers. The nomination committee. Let's read here a little some comments about the nomination committee. Brother Richard, yes. Richard.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking there was another brother Richard, I don't know. The nominating committee is chosen by the church from the floor or by secret ballot. Depending on the size of the church or delegation, the nominating committee is composed of a specified odd number of members.
Okay, just it's short, this odd number, similar like the other committee. Come, let's proceed.
The nominating committee is led by the field president or his representative.
Is the supervisor of this committee in their work. Let's continue.
The committee must impartially propose the brothers and sisters for offices as well as will best serve for the blessing and progress of God's work.
They will also speed the election because we are just few people. We can fast discuss who we will propose for this responsibility for the other, and the nomination will be much easier to present to the church. Let's go next.
The deliberations of the nominating committee are strictly confidential. Nothing is more offensive to Christian ethics than for a member of the nominating committee to speak outside the committee concerning discussion of a member whose name was proposed for office.
Do we understand? This is what I was just commenting to you before. That it's important that we may feel free in order to have a better functionality in the next period of the church officers. Okay, let's continue with the next part. Brother Adrian, please. After the nomination committee have worked, please.
After the nominating committee has prepared its proposals, the church members are called back into session to be informed of the recommendations.
They just present the recommendation. Church elder, this name on this name. Next.
Once the proposals are read to the church, the majority can accept them, reject them, or make amendments. The church has the authority to decide on each nomination.
It's not recommendable to discuss these nominations after the nominating committee has worked upon them. People used to like to comment about this nomination. It's not good. It's better just to proceed the vote. If the vote is rejected, they can comment a few proposals. they can nominate another person maybe in general, or the nominating committee just go out and elect another person for the proposal. Let's try to avoid much discussion in the church meeting, because that will bring only tension in the church. Yeah, that's why it's one of the purpose of the nomination committee, that the discussion may be work in the smaller group of brethren. Let's go to the next one.
The election can be done by raising of hand or by secret ballot. It is necessary to count and record all the votes in favor, those opposed and those abstaining. In case of tie, there can be a second vote, or the presiding officer decides.
Do you understand here? I want to point several issues on this statement. First, if there is one person that likes secret vote, who majority like raising of hand, I recommend you to decide to go just for one or two persons by secret vote. Because if there are people that don't like openly, you will have prejudice in the election by raising hands. If you do by papers, it's more neutral in the elections. Yeah, I recommend you try to do it always with papers than raising a hand. If all of them they agree with raising hand, there's no problem. But if you are having a few that they request, please proceed with papers. Also the majority, because this is a little point that can bring some unnecessary tensions in the church. The next one is related with the vote. If there is a tight vote, then the president officers can break the tie, or can be done a second vote. It can be done under the decision of the president officers. That will be still the president of the field. Let's go to the next point.
All the officers are elected. The church committee is formed. It consists of 3, 5, 7, or 9 members, according to the size and needs of the church.
We already mentioned this several times. Continue with the next one.
The field president congratulates the church leader and his co-workers on their election, wishes them God's blessings and much success in the work, and then gives the leadership of the meeting to the church leader.
Okay. Here we see that they have organized, finished the meeting with the election of the delegate, of the officers, and then he give the meeting to the new officers. I want to point here another important point is elect every year delegates to the higher level. If this is organization or not organization, you should elect delegates also for the higher level. Because we don't know if the organization needs to be advanced, something come. When if you don't have officers, you need to make an extra meeting just for the election of the delegates. You should have delegates election in all reorganization in every level, starting from church until union. Doesn't matter if it's a reorganization at the higher level, closed in the period or not. You just elect delegates. We already went through the church officers election. Vacancy in the office. What's happened if one of them resigns or there is a problem, transfer of the member? Let's see with Brother Eric.
Should an officer not fulfill his responsibilities and or not be an example to the believers, he should be released from his office by the committee.
This statement is not so easy, because he mentioned here not only if I move, but he's mentioned if he are not fulfilling his responsibility. Should we wait until 1 year until to have a dynamic person that will work with the young people? Should we work until 1 year until we have a missionary leader that make a plan to share, to involve the be presence of the church in the missionary activity? No. You just tell brother, I'm sorry. You ask that he may lay down his responsibility, that you may have the opportunity to choose another one. Because the church life should not be stopped because of one person that maybe got family problems, so I don't know what reasons he can have in not fulfilling his responsibility. You need to look for another one. Yeah? Let's go to the next one.
In such a case, or in case of any other vacancy in the office, the next ordinary committee meeting, or in an extraordinary meeting, committee may select a replacement in the presence of the president of the next higher level of the organization, or his authorized representative.
Do you saw who chose that one? It's a temporary until the next reorganization, when it's done by the committee meeting, but with the assistance of the president of the higher level. they cannot act by themselves. They need to be also supervised by the president of the field or an authorized person that they may send. And this is also a principle for all levels. In the field, a person is not working, you have a vacancy, how you do? You need to call the union representative to be there. The union, the same, have the vacancy, how do? You call the regional representative that may be there to assist you in that meeting where you're going to elect a replacement. Dissolution of church. This is also an important point that we need to analyze because it had also brought tension in members. For what do we need to dissolve the church? In what case we apply the solution of the church? These are already complicated cases, but you need to know how to proceed in those cases in order to keep the order of the church. Because let's say a church, each church is having 20 members. And among those members, you are having some of them that are cooperating in the activities and some of them that have come to what is the first statement mentioned there. Let's read the statement. Brother Danny.
In the event of infidelity, apostasy, or rebellion, the following occurs. After consultation with his committee, the field president will be forced to dissolve a church which, despite all efforts to restore peace and harmony, continues in rebellion against the divinely established order.
Okay, then in which case we apply the solution of the church? Infidelity, we are talking here of the whole church or majority of the church. Apostasy, we're talking here about the leaders if they are guiding the church in the wrong direction. Or rebellion. The church is not sending tithes. There are different problems, serious problems, doctrinal issues. Then you try first to call the church meeting, president come, call a church meeting, or you try to appeal to the members to correct the problem. If the problem is not corrected, you, as a president of the field, you do not have any authority to remove any member of the local church. Who remove members? Behavior, foundation pillar of the truth. Who decide for this fellowship? Is not a minister, is not the president of the church or the field leader, no, are the members. When you come to the meeting, you make a call, a vote to correct the problem. When the church support the problem, what is the next step that you need to do? You cannot take any decision then because the members are united in the wrong step, then you need to dissolve the church. You tell them, brother, if we don't support the truth, what is correct, we have no other way to dissolve the church because you are standing all together supporting errors. Then we need to go to the next step. What is the next step? As we hear, they have a church meeting in the field, consult together. When they see no other ways, well, they need to then announce the church that the church is dissolved. That means that they are now considered as isolated members. They are not anymore considered as a church. Now the field committee is under the leadership of those members. They are not anymore as a body, but they are now under the body of the field committee. Let's continue reading.
In such a case, the church members will be notified in writing of an extraordinary business meeting. The last attempt will be made to convince the members of the wrong course. If this attempt fails, the church will be dissolved by the field president, or is authorized representative.
As I just mentioned to you, you tried your last one, you announce them by writing, brethren, this is a serious issue. If they don't know, don't not accept your appeal. You just need to tell them that they are dissolved as a church. Let's continue.
Before a church is dissolved, the field committee must give the supervising union or the general conference, if the field is not under a union, notice an adequate time so opportunity may be given for consultation and investigation of the case.
Since it's not so common issues, it's a serious case to dissolve the church, then the higher level, as we see here, need to be consulted. That means if the field is under a union, should also speak about this problem with the union. Let's go to the next one. Okay, it's not mentioned, it's already another issue. Now, after the church is dissolved, what do you proceed? If there are members that are faithful, you can organize the church with those faithful members. If you need to take disciplinary measure, you call those members now to the committee of the field, that they may then answer, and then if there need to be done taking disciplinary measure, discipline or disfellowshipment then can be proceed after the member has been called to the committee and could speak in front of the committee. If the committee call the person do not come, the person needs to be called a second time. And after the second time, if the person do not come, they can proceed in disciplinary measure. They cannot do it the first time, because the person has the right to defend themselves. You understand? The same you apply in the church level. You need to discipline somebody, there are some problems. If it's an open sin, there is no way. But normally you try to call the person do not come, you call another meeting when the person should be there. If the person do not come, you just proceed with the disfellowship, because the person has the right to defend themselves. Is this clear? Let's go to church property now. Brother Adam.
God's church belongs to him, and its officers are his householders. Physical possessions which are in the property of the church belong to the Lord and his people. Every member of God's church should declare that everything belonging to God must be carefully handled, so nothing is lost to the cause of God.
Yes, the church should also have inventory of all the belongings to the church, including towels, the baptismal
Robes.
how you call them?
Baptismal robes or gowns.
Yeah, for the water, for the washing of the feet, the cups for the Lord's Supper, instruments, and all should be, because it's belonging not for the private, it's belonging for the church. If somebody's missed, we need to look why the thing is missed, that we may take care of the things that belong to the Lord. Okay, this is just a summary of everything what is related with the church life. They are now related with the field. The field, let me just try to go very fast, that you may have one orientation. We do not have time to touch much this, but it's very similar. The field is composed by churches and isolated members. Isolated members are members that are living far from churches and do not have the possibility to be integrated on the church. That's why the field and the committee is the responsible to support these isolated members. If they need the Lord's Supper, the field needs to coordinate to send the Lord's Supper. Tithes, they send directly to the field. If there are a problem in his life, spiritual life, the field is responsible to send a person to make a follow-up in his life. The officers are similar to the local church: president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, leader, evangelist, leader, missionary leader, youth leader, deacon, good Samaritan leader, health leader, education leader. What is different here from the church is that the field or the union, they will have auditors. And they also will have a literature committee. And they will also have a finance committee. That is different because church do not have those bodies. They don't need those bodies, since the planification at big level, it is from the field. Let's just go some points related with the field. Field also had the responsibility for planning the activities, organization, supervising the churches, and spreading the gospel in new areas, and management or the administration of the entire field. Maybe this is also important for you to know. The new regulation for delegates that was approved in this last administration, how many delegates go from the church to the field in the reorganization? Let's say that the church is having 32 members. How many delegates they should send to the field? 32 members. Do you know how is the regulation for delegates?
So they should send 3.
It's not 3. You're missing the calculation. In the old system, they used to send 3. In the new system, is 1 delegate for every 10 members or part thereof, plus 1 automatic delegate per church. That means they have 32, 1 per 10 will be 30, will be 3. 32 is part of 4, that will be 4. And because they are a church, they send another one. Then say 5. They have 18 members. How many delegates do they send?
4.
18 members.
Sorry, 3.
10, 18 is part of the 20, and then the automatic delegate is the third 3. This is from churches to fields when they are more than 50 members. If they are below 50 members, they send members, all members are delegates. And if the field are more than 500 members, 1 delegate for 50 members or part thereof go from the church to the field. This is the regulation, new regulation. Let's see now from field to union. How many delegates from the field to the union go? In unions with 1 or 2,500 members is 1 delegate for every 50 members or part thereof plus 1 automatic delegate for the per field. This is unions that had this number of members. For example, a union had 3 fields, then field will send, based on the membership to in the field reorganization, they choose those delegates, which is 1 every 50 members plus 1 automatic delegate per field. Union that had more than 2,500 delegates, they send 1 delegate per 100 members on part thereof. And now, we will have soon the General Conference. Which system is applied for General Conference? Unions under the General Conference is 1 delegate per 500 members plus 1 automatic delegate. Let's say they have 600 members. How many delegates they send?
3.
3. Because 500 is 1, 600 is shown the second part, plus the automatic delegate is 3. Let's go now the case of Canada. It's a field, an missionary field under General Conference with more than 10 members. How many delegates should send Canada, for example? I don't know exactly the membership of Canada. 300, I think, something, if I'm not mistaken. How many delegates should send? 1 delegate per every 500 member or part thereof. They don't have the automatic delegate that is only a right for the unions.
It's only 1 then.
They send 1 delegate. When they should be a minimum of 10 members, new countries are below 10 members, they do not have the right to send a delegate. This is the policy that is actual at the moment. It's not in the church manual because it was not updated in the church manual, but that is the policy that is being set in practice at the moment in the administration. Okay, there are a couple of forms. Let me give you this form for the field to the General Conference or to the Union, depending which case they are. You can take one and just forward. This form from field or mission field is similar from the form from union. The form from union only they need to give the information from the field. They don't give information by churches, but from fields. You see here membership, they need to send this form every 6 months. Church, name of the church, district, if the church are belonging to a district, they have divided the church in some district. Membership per last report. That's, for example, if we do now, we already are in April. That means that the report from July until December should be already sent. And that will be, here we will put the information that we had in the report from January to June. That will be membership last report. Baptist, accept, or transfer, we already mentioned this in the church level. Then we have another section here, and this is the workers' information. We put the name of the district name as here. How many minister workers we have, paid and unpaid, Bible workers, paid and unpaid, officer workers, paid and unpaid, canvassers, and ordained elders. That we may have the statistic how many persons are working on that field. And we have done another activities. This is the missionary report from the local church or the field will be set here. Yeah? Here we don't have the information this is just by district again. All the information, or we can, in the union here is mentioned fields. By field they send the information. We go to the next area, estimated interest results, similar as the secretary report of the church. They get the secretary information of the church and they pass it here in this section number 4. Section number 5 is buildings. This is not included in the secretary of the church, but buildings that belong to the church. We put the information of the properties. It could be their churches, offices, houses, apartments, schools, health center, all kind of building, publishing houses that the church may have. Other institutions, for example, they have a clinic, they have a school, they have a tailoring school, they have a kindergarten, other institutions that the church may have, they need to be also here in the reports. On the last point, other property, vacant land, vehicles, equipment, computer, other belongings, main belongings that the field or the union is having. And they send this every 6 months to the General Conference. The Finance Committee. I just speak very fast about this. What is the purpose of the Finance Committee? Brother Eric.
To plan the budget?
Yes, one of the areas, yes, correct. Finance Committee. Who composed the Finance Committee of the field? Normally you need to choose brothers that are in business area. 2 brothers plus the treasury of the field is composing the Finance Committee. 3 brethren. Treasury of the field plus 2 brethren in business. What they are doing? They are going to give recommendation how to set the budget for the field. They are the ones that give the recommendation of the salary of the worker, because if the committee needs to decide their own salary, it is not ethical. That's why the Finance Committee is the one that decides or recommend what salaries. And then the final decision is in the committee itself, but should be done based on the recommendation of the Finance Committee. What tells the Finance Committee? They want to buy a land, big investment, selling or purchasing, big investment, equipment, or any investment, they should consult it and be done under the recommendation of the Finance Committee. If the Finance Committee do not recommend, it is not ethical that the committee just proceed and do it, because for that is the reason of the Finance Committee, is to give that recommendation in the finances, in the movement of the field. That's why our business people involved there, that they may see other areas that the committee may not see.
The church can make an investment, like buying a property or...
The church can also buy properties. So some areas, the local church had also make a registration of the building under the local church. But most of the cases is everything will be registered under the field area.
Like investing companies?
Investment outside?
Investment.
It's a good question. We as a church, since we are using the money that belongs to God, we cannot use the money that belongs to God with the principle do not unite in how it says, in bondage with the unbeliever. It's the text that is using for marriage, that we do not also unite, also make friendship with a person that is not from the church. That's why it's not recommendable, it's not done investment outside of the church. The church can do their own projects, their own business, like opening a health center, there are countries that have open industry of producing natural products and belong to the church. It's under the administration of the church. But we do not agree to invest the money that will be used by unbelievers in the wrong ways. Auditors. Who are auditors? Auditors are members that do not relate to the officers of the field, are not family related with the officers, neither president, neither secretary, neither treasurer, neither one of the committee, and they are the one that will check the books, and will analyze that the books may be in transparency. The purpose of the auditors is to check and to give witnesses that the accounting was done properly, that there is no misuse of money. This is the main purpose of the auditing work. And they need to sign a letter after they do the review confirming how they find, or if they found some change that need to be done, some recommendation of some improvement in the bookkeeping. Literature committee, as already commented to you, the literary committee is the responsible to check the development of any publication. Major publication, like books, the field do not have the right to edit them by themselves. They need also to send to the General Conference, it depending which area, is a health book to the health department, is a doctrinal book should be to the ministerial department in order to receive the approval for the printing of that book. But small publication like leaflets, magazine, and other publication, they can be done by the field, by the union without problem. Okay, General Conference, it has similar structure as the union and field. We don't have any more the time. May the Lord help us that we may develop the best or activities in all levels, and that we may have dynamic church. Do not forget that the church is having several objectives to accomplish. It's not just to lead activities on the Sabbath. No. Church organization is to develop life and to cover all different areas of the life of the church. Main objective is salvation of souls. But at the same time, to defend the truth, to extend the message in new area, to protect the church from wrong doctrines, to educate the church, and here is the children and the youth department, also to administrate the belongings to the church, and to create an environment protecting the members with the truth in the life development, the talent development. And the Lord help you, brothers and sisters, that you may do the best in your churches for the glory and honor for the Lord, and that we may bring also life in the churches that may not have not practiced all these recommendations found in the church manual. Is my wish and prayer. Amen.
Amen.
The evaluation of this subject will be given in a work. I give you now a homework that you need to prepare. And that will be, you need to develop for me a working plan of the church. You need to touch minimum 2 objectives on the respective activities for 2 objectives for the local church. And remember that you need to touch in the objective and activity the departments. That means not just 2 objectives here, no, 2 objectives for each department or each area. And try to develop minimum 3 areas, 3-4 areas. More practically, use missionary on what you want to develop here. When I want to see the chronogram, quarterly chronogram, you just create whatever date you want to give me. But I want to see 3 months chronogram. All right?
Just repeat it once more. Sorry, I closed my document down. So
I want to have a working plan for the church. This working plan should have a vision. It's very short statement that you can use a Bible text, you can use a testimony, just a sentence. Objectives, I want that you may develop 2 objectives by area. When I mentioned to you that every department should be considered 1 area. That means for secretary you should have, for the treasury you should have, for all departments, for the youth, for missionary, for deacons, for all departments. You don't need to develop all of them. Develop minimum 4.
So 2 objectives for each area.
Well, you need to develop minimum 4 areas.
Okay.
Because if you develop, there will be a lot of work. For each department, let's give me also 2 minimum activities. 2 and 2. Yeah? And also the chronogram. I want to see the chronogram. date on the person responsible. You just put names. This means the chronogram is a timetable. It's a timetable, yeah? It's a graphic that you need to do. Where is the dates there, where you measure the activity. All of this should be here inside. All of this should be here inside.
The vision, objectives, and activities?
No. The activities
Okay.
in the chronogram. Because you put, for example, activity 1.1 is going to be Sabbath at this time. And this brother will mention that. You need to put the details here in the chronogram. This will help you. It's for your future work. I know it's a little effort. It's not for tomorrow. I know that you are leaving tomorrow. But next week, before you finish, you need to give me that I may give the notes for what's of this class. All right?
You said for each department develop 2 activities?
Two activities, two objectives.
And then also for the activities?
2 activities for each objective.
Oh, 2 activities for
That
each
will be
objective.
4. 2 divided by 2 is 4 activities for each department. You don't need to put every activity every week. Just consider, you need to divide all this now in the 3 months, more or less.
Okay.
Some of them may be just once in the quarter, if they are bigger activity, depends how you develop.
Okay. I'm still trying to get the clear idea of activities. So from the objectives, we make the activities, correct?
From the objective, you make the activities. That's why I say 1.1 does mean that this one is the activity first for the first objective.
Okay.
So,
And so for each objective, we make 4 activities?
No,
Right.
2 activities,
Okay.
minimum. In the local church, maybe you will develop 2, 3, 4, I don't know, or 1, I don't know. Give me an example, just 2.
for each department, we have 2 objectives, so total it will be more than probably 10 objectives.
Yeah, develop 4 areas, 4 done, minimum 4 departments I mentioned. Normally
Yes.
there are more than 4,
A lot more. Yeah.
but here develop a minimum, I want 4 here.
And 2 objectives at
4,
least for each.
2 objective, and 2 activity by objective.
Yeah.
So there will be total 8 activities.
Yeah.
then.
That will be 4 department times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16 activity you need to develop.
Yeah.
Then you need to have the chronogram for all these activities. ¿Entendiste, David? Hacer un plan de trabajo que tenga visión, objetivos, y yo quiero que devuelvan objetivos relacionados con los departamentos. 4 departamentos por lo menos. 2 objetivos por cada departamento y cada objetivo tiene que tener 2 actividades.
Oscar, can we get our PowerPoints?
Yes. Brother Richard already have, he will share with you the PowerPoint
I have them on
presentation.
the memory stick, so whenever you need it, just let me know.
Could you send me the presentation?
I have them on my memory stick, you can have it. Go ahead. There's 4 on there. There's this, just the church manual, and then number 2, 3, and 4.
No, la
Sorry,
visión
it's a
es
little
una
hard.
para todos.
You figured out?
Vision is one for all the church plan.
It's a revolving one.
Vision, just to clarify to you, is like something that you want to see at the end of the period, but that will involve everything. It's a thought that will motivate the church at the same time for the action. It's like a vision. Ellen G. White was in vision. What did she saw? She saw the future already today. Then it's a statement that will define what you want to finish in your work.
Mm.
Yeah? It's a vision. Objective, I mentioned to you, should be something that I can measure and say at the end of the activity here, have I fulfilled that objective, yes or no? Don't say just global that they may be more spiritual. How you measure that? Try to be concrete, something that you can concrete un mesbar, that you can measure.
Mm.
Yeah? And activities is concrete, what you will do. Go outside, study, meet together for
Yeah.
going. Every area is different here. When they just the graphic with the dates, that you will put all this activity on the graphic.
Yeah, so we're doing it for the chronograph for 3 months, right?
For 3 months.
Yeah, and so we'll have to fill in probably every day for 3 months, or?
No, weekends. You put, normally you put months, or you put which days of the month you will do which activity.
Mm-hmm.
On activities you can have, it depends how you develop your chronogram, your life in the church.
Yeah, so
Just use creativity there.
so it might not be every day that it's filled in.
No, every day, because you don't meet in the church every day.
Yeah.
Normally Sunday, maybe for some extra activity. Normally most of the activity will be Saturday, maybe Friday, Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
So
These are the days that we use.
it's just for 3 months, so
Yeah.
for example, January to this
Yeah.
March.
January, February, March.
Yeah.
Quarterly working plan. Let's pray together and let's thank the Lord for this opportunity to share together some of these practical things of the local church.